Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you're listening, or good evening, depending where you're listening to us from. This is the iConvo podcast, and I am your host, one of your hosts. Brad, my co-host, isn't with us today, but I have
because he's doing business.
He is doing business. I have an incredible guest to share with you guys this morning. Of course, this iConvo podcast is fairly new, but what the idea is that we're going to have iconic conversations, right, with inspirational leaders, people that aren't just doing well in life, but are doing good in the world by sharing their knowledge, sharing their wisdom, and contributing back to society. Because what is the point of mastering any game, of becoming an expert at anything and keeping it to yourself? So we're proud to start this new series to bring these iconic leaders to share their wealth of knowledge, their information, and to help you improve your business, improve your life in every aspect of that. So without further ado, the incredible woman next to me here, her name is Lisa Copeland. She is a powerhouse in the world. We'll just say it that way. She is. She's a real estate broker now at the top of her game, but this isn't where her story started. And we're going to let Lisa share a little bit about this. But before coming into the real estate industry, Lisa became an icon in the auto industry. One of probably the most powerful women in the auto industry. And I don't know if or the dealerships, I don't know if I'm over speaking, but she became an icon in a male dominated business for sure. And we're going to talk about how she did that and what some of those things are that she's done, that she's brought into the real estate industry. Now, of course, she's with eXp Realty, as am I. Of course, this isn't an eXp Realty show. However, it is just coincidental that Lisa and I are both with the same company, and she's brought her knowledge, her experience, her leadership from the auto industry into the real estate industry. So we're going to get into it. The one and only Lisa Copeland, welcome. And I'm so proud and honored to have you here. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, and you can get into how we met originally and how we reconnected.
I know. Hey, Tony, how are you?
Listen, if I was any better, I'd be twins. It's good to see you.
Well, there you go. I think, God, what year was it we met? I want to say it was like 2020, 2021, whatever the height of COVID was in the clubhouse rooms.
That's right. Probably end of 2020, beginning of 21, something like that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, Clubhouse was, I'm sorry, my eyes like watering like crazy. Clubhouse was like, I think, one of the greatest connection tools that I've ever seen in business. Now, the circumstances behind Clubhouse weren't great because everyone was stuck in their house. And this was the only way that people could communicate with each other, was to get onto this app. And, and so I got to lead a room, me and my good friend, Glenn Lundy. He had a group called Breakfast to Champions, and Glenn was really a pioneer when it came to Clubhouse. And he decided that he would take this thing and blow it up. So he called me and he's like, hey, I want you to have your own room Wednesday mornings from 8 a.m. Central to 9. And Tony, we would have 800 to 2,000 people in my room. I know you had rooms and some people had rooms, but that was really a sweet spot of a time. And I met amazing people like you. I would bring in Grant Cardone. That was always my big thing, was to bring Grant in, because it would double the size of my room literally the minute that it happened. Because on this Clubhouse link, you could follow people around and you could see, hey, Grant Cardone just, checked into this room. And then all of a sudden the room would explode. And I miss Clubhouse.
We call that the Grant effect. And he would come into our room every now and again. Mm-hmm. And I think you came into our room and you brought him in, and our rooms would explode from like 500-600 people to like 10,000 people, and just great conversation. So that is how Lisa and I met. Yeah. And we only communicated really there. We followed each other on social media, what have you. Yeah. And then last year at a conference, we ran into each other. I'm like, Lisa? She's like, Tony? And we kind of rekindled this friendship. Obviously, we have a lot of mutual friends as well. So it was synchronicity is what I like to call it, because there are no coincidences. So we were supposed to meet that day, and we're not going to get into actually what happened that day, but it was absolute synchronicity that you and I kind of came together and then discovered what was playing on in the background, right? The Madison. So we were pivotal in kind of tamping that down and calming that, tamping down that
situation. We'll leave it at
That's-
situation.
well, I like to call them situations, that little situation.
Exactly. Yeah, because you and I, like, you were on one side of that situation and I was on the other side of it. And I feel like you and I were the ones who kind of negotiated the peace treaty.
Yeah, which is exactly, listen, that's the goal, right? That's the idea, is to be, I like to say that I'm a force for good, right? And we should all be, right? To improve, to mend relationships, to create new ones, to create alliances, to bring people together. I'm a connector, you're a connector, and that's kind of how we kind of reconnected, oddly enough, you and I. So anyway, I'm honored to have you on here. You are literally a powerhouse in what you do and how you show up. So honored to have you on here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel a little tired lately. It was funny. I was on, so Elena and you know this because you have your own organization, but Elena and I've got a pretty big organization at EXP. And so we've got these cadence of calls that we do every week, and this time and this, whatever. And so, this morning, our call with our onboarding team was earlier than usual. And so I was like, Elena's like, are you getting on the call? I'm like, I've got to get my coffee first. Oh my God, woman. Because, she's an hour ahead of me, right? Because she's on Eastern, you're on Eastern, I'm on Central time. So all my Eastern time friends, like, you guys text me at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, it's 6 a.m. and or it's 7 a.m. And, so anyways, it's pretty funny. So I'm still kind of waking up. So I'm so glad to be on here with you. And I'm so glad that you and I reconnected. Because we used to have great conversations on Clubhouse, and then just to run into you. And where were we? Where was EXPCon? The show was in Miami, right?
Yes.
I've been to so many conferences. I'm like, where was I?
I had to think for a second.
Where was I? Yeah, Miami, and it was really good. And we hung out, and we all had dinner, and you and I negotiated world peace between players. That was really good. I'm just so grateful for this almost like virtual family that we've created. And I think, Tony, it kind of started at COVID. I think that thousands of us, and I've got a lot of people on my real estate team to this day that I met in a Clubhouse room, and they joined my team, and they're still on my team today. And just the power of virtual friendships and virtual relationships, where I would run into you 5 years later, and we're like, Tony, Lisa, hey, da 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 da, and then
we knew each other, right? Because of all the interaction on social, online. And I think it's, this is really an evolution of things. Now, I'm very much an in-person person. I prefer to be in person. I feel that I'm better in person, right? Because you get to see really what people are and how they really are, and not this persona with filters. And I feel like, sometimes you meet people in real life, you're like, man, I was catfished, right? Because
are you ever disappointed when you meet him? I have been. I'm like,
yeah.
I sometimes I think I need that filter.
I jokingly say that, realtors are infamously bad with this, right? But I jokingly say, because I've been in real estate since I was 18, right? I've been doing this for 36. This is my 36th year. You want to know how old I am? Do the math.
Yeah, right.
So when I got in, this is a joke, but not really. Back in the day, everybody had the business card with and we're not even going to talk about what real estate was like with the MLS books that came out three times a week, pastel colored, and the listings were all sold and were all gone, and improper information. We're not even going to go there, but everybody had their business cards with their picture on it, and
glamour shots.
Well, super glamorous shots, but it was even worse because now I'm 18, 19, 20 years old. I'm going through this listing. I see this business card, and I'm like, wow, this realtor is really attractive, right? And this is my young mind thinking. And then I go to the listing, or I go to negotiate the offer, and I'm sitting in front of this person. I'm thinking, where's your granddaughter? Right? Because it's literally a glamorous shot from 15, 20 years ago.
Well, They used to have those places at the mall, and it was called glam shots or glamour shots or something like that. And you go in and they put the feathers around you, and they do your oh my God,
And I tell people, and this is actually good for the conversation we're having. Mm-hmm. I think it's epically important to, even though you may use filters, you may use this or that, keep it real. Yeah. Because I'm going to be honest with you, if somebody gives me their business card, or I see them on social media, or I see them on LinkedIn, or I see them wherever it is, and I go to meet them in person, if they're trying to do business with me, or they're trying to sell me, and they don't look anything like their picture, I automatically the trust factor goes down to half because you lied to me right up front, right? So how can I trust you if you don't look anything like your picture? So it's actually really
part of that, I think, though, like, we just look at this, like, and I'm so bad about getting sucked into these Instagram things, like the before and afters of these celebrities, where they've literally rebuilt their faces
or destroyed them.
Yeah, oh yeah, or destroyed them. Like, right, like the one that comes to mind for me. We're so off topic right now, but that's just what us girls do sometimes. Is like Khloe Kardashian. Like, I thought she was perfectly attractive before, but now she's like, I mean, that face is rebuilt. I mean, rebuilt. Yeah. Everything's new. I don't even know how you do all of that. I mean, it would be fun to try it, but yeah, no, I get it. Like, we live in this world of, everyone's like, oh, you got to be authentic to do business. But I'm like, but your face is not authentic.
You're not being authentic. And that's the point. That's how I will bring this conversation back onto the rails and in real estate, you've got to be careful with that. Because like I said, I lose trust in people if I meet them and they're completely different than what they are, even if their personality is different. Like they're a really nice guy and you meet them and they're just miserable. Now, things happen that'll affect your mood. And I'm not, a ray of sunshine every day, but, so we have things that affect our moods, yet at our core, we're still who we are. Right. But if you meet somebody and it's completely different, or you see how they're treating people and, they say that you want to know what someone is like, look at how they treat people that can do nothing for them. The waiters, the doorman, the valet, the person at the grocery store, at the coffee bar, whatever it is, how you're treating people is how you really are, because we're really more about, it's really more about how you make people feel than the words that you say. So ultimately, I think that's important in the real estate industry too. And that's part of the culture that we try to bring to our agents and the people in our organization because, and again, I mentioned earlier that we're both with EXP, and this is not an EXP conversation because EXP is just a platform in which we do business. I happen to think it's one of the best platforms out there, as do you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But the reality of it is, it's more than just the company. It's the culture, and it's a culture within those organizations that we form ourselves. You have your organization, I have mine, and I'm under Allison and I'm under, Gene Frederick and everybody else. And you're under another incredible group of people, and people are under you. And you've got Linda Cardone and Grant Cardone, and all these people can come in and they can benefit from the programs, from the teachings, from the lessons, and from the culture that we create. So I think it's ethically important to do that. And that is ultimately what's part of our success. So I'd love to have you share, because, you're the guest. So I want to hear more from you and so do others than listen to me. So I'd love to hear from you what the genesis was of both a little bit of your experience in the car industry, and then how you came to real estate, and what did you bring from there to here, and just for us to know a little bit more about Lisa and some of the magic that you're creating now.
Oh, wow. Geez. Okay. Let's see. Where do you start? So I re-entered the car industry in 2011. And I had just gone back as a consultant. So I've been in the mortgage industry for a bunch of years, 12, something like that. And I was done. Like, right. I was sick of it. I had done all I can do. And so I kind of told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to go do something different. Mortgage industry is stressful, y'all. And it is not my favorite industry, to be honest. So I wrote a book, and no, I'm lying. I did not write the book before the dealership. Anyways, so I had the opportunity in 2011 to work with somebody I had worked for a long time ago, and I'd done some consulting work for him. And during that consulting contract, he was approached by the Fiat brand, as were several other Chrysler dealers, to reinstate Fiat to America. So he kind of changed my focus from writing sales strategy content for his dealerships to writing the proposal and leading the team for the proposal for the Fiat brand to remerge to America. So we did. And our proposal was so good that Fiat used a lot of our elements from it. And so I told him, I said, hey, like, I feel like this is my brand now. Like, I want to be involved with this, like at the dealer level. So anyway, so that happened in 2011. We were the first dealership in the country to launch. There at the height of the Fiat brand, there was 250 retailers around the country. Our store stayed number one in the country month after month, year after year. We worked super hard on just being number one. Like I'm all about being number one. Like if you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby. I live my business life by that. And so we had great success with Fiat. And then my team broke the world sales record in 2012. So that really catapulted me. It catapulted them, but it catapulted me into a universe I didn't know I'd ever get into. So we sell the dealership in 16. Actually, I sold my part of the dealership in 16. I sold it back to him. And I was like, okay, I need to do something different, bigger. And so I co-authored a book, Crushing Mediocrity, with my dear friend. And she was a jet broker at the time. And that did really, really well. And then I became a corporate speaker. And I was speaking all over the country. I was represented by 2 or 3 speaking bureaus. And I was super busy as a speaker. Then COVID hits. And my agent called me. I was in Boston on a stage and literally got pulled off the stage. I was the closing keynote speaker. And I literally got pulled off the stage at the end of my speech. And I thought, oh my God, have I said something? Have I done something? And they were like, no, we're getting ready. I mean, the city's getting ready to close down. Like tomorrow it'll be on lockdown. We have to fly you out tonight. So that's what happened. And I just, I was just like, I'm not going to get I'm not going to get sidelined. Like I'm out. I don't want to get sidelined. I don't want to stay home. I don't want to have a mask on I don't want to do any of that. So in Texas, which thank God I live in Texas during all that, real estate was considered not mandatory, but
essential.
Thank you. Gosh, like where are my words today? I haven't had enough coffee. Yeah, real estate was considered an essential business. So I went and got my real estate license. I had known Haas Pratt from my speaking days, and he and I had the same management out of New York. And so they introduced me to Haas Pratt. Haas Pratt introduced me to Tarek El Moussa from HGTV. The 3 of us came together and we said, we want to build the biggest real estate team in the world. So I signed on to that. I agreed to it. And Haas Pratt said something to me that day as we were leaving, me signing on, literally, like I had to drive from Austin to Dallas, go meet with them, height of COVID, where you had to have a piece of paper to drive down I-35. Like you had to have a reason to be on the road, right?
Crazy.
And yeah, and so we're in the meeting. We're like 5 hours together. Like I just love Haas. He's like my little brother. And he said, hey, you know Grant Cardone, right? And so I knew Grant from the car business, and we used 10X sales training. And, I had the top sales team in the world when it came to Fiat and Alfa Romeo sales. And so I'm like, yeah, I know Grant. And he said, why don't we manifest? Like, guys, if you don't think it's important to put stuff into the universe for your success, I am here to tell you, I manifested that before I was ever a car dealer, that we would be the #1 Fiat dealer in the world. I said it out loud. You can go to YouTube, the Chrysler Corporation, who owned Fiat at the time. They've got the video on there. I wasn't even a dealer yet, but I manifested it, and it's on YouTube for the world to see. I manifested us breaking the world sales record. That's on for the world to see. And then Haas and I manifested bringing on the Cardones. And so, and Grant told me no 10 times, just for the record. He was not interested in getting a real estate license. So I ended up bringing in the ultimate closer, which was our chairman of the board, Glenn Sanford. And Glenn came in and closed the deal for me. And Elena got her real estate license. This was in 2021. So Elena's about to have her 5th year at EXP. I'm about to have my 6th year. My 6th year is in about, 3 weeks. And, and everybody, but it was all from manifestation. So Elena, and it was just great to have a partner in crime. And so Elena and I were just like, we're going to build the biggest team and we're going to do this. And so we've had, Elena and I together have had over 5 years doing it. I've had 6 years. And of course, in that first year, brought on the Cardones and several other amazing people. And so I guess, I got into real estate by accident, right? Like I'm like, I'm not going to, like, I have to have something to do. I've already been a car dealer. I've already been done mortgages. I owned an insurance agency at one point. I even owned a boutique. I owned a dress store at one point. Like I've owned everything and I've done everything. And I'm like, what am I going to do that's different? And I'm like, okay, real estate, like ping done. Like that's.
Yeah, I can so relate because I've been in real estate for 30. Again, this is my 36th year, but I've had a lot of businesses because I ain't going to lie. I do get a little bored at times. Things start to get a little mundane. Yes. So and most of the businesses I've owned is because I bought the real estate, right? So I've had the equestrian center with 100 jumpers and 44 stalls, and the bar, restaurant, nightclub, and the office buildings, warehouse, construction, ground up. I've done all that because, again, I do like to have that flavor of and keeping things interesting and exciting. So I can relate to what you're doing and saying you want to try something new. So let me ask you a question. How many people in your real estate team now, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no, about 8. It changes on every given day.
Sure.
I looked the other day, it was about 890 something. But we
That's
have
amazing.
Yeah, but our goal is to double that number in 2026. And, we got as high as about almost 1,300. And, and anybody who's in real estate knows there's been a great shakeout of real estate agents because, the market's gotten tough, it's gotten tight. And so, God, I saw the Trek numbers, not Trek, but, Trek too, which is Texas real estate, but the National Realtors Association. And what was it, Tony? Something like 70-something% of realtors only sold one house.
Yeah, actually, it's worse than that. I don't have the numbers. Yeah, I don't have the numbers for 2025 yet, but for 2024, 74% of agents sold 0 houses.
Yeah.
0, not 1, 0, 74%.
And it's expensive to be a realtor. Like, you have to keep your licenses, you have to keep MLS, like you have to do all of that. So that was one of the reasons that we had a big shakeout in our organization, is because part of that 70-something%, they just didn't want to stay with the expense of staying in real estate. Like,
yeah, you're exactly right. And it's not necessarily that they left one brokerage or another. Some just hung their licenses.
Exactly.
Put them into referral, or they put them into, they just hung them up because most states will let you keep the license inactive for 2 to 3 years. So I know a lot of people that have done that. And that's because, again, the markets have toughened up, right? It's harder to be an agent because a lot of the agents, right? Well, exactly right. And a lot of the agents that have come in the last 4 or 5 years have never been through a shift. For all intents and purposes, you haven't been through a shift. You've been through the shift in the car market. So which is
tied, and mortgage, and
right?
mortgage.
Which is they're tied. Both of those, by the way, are tied closely, believe it or not, to the housing market. So you've seen it from the outside. But there's a lot of agents that come in that have no awareness of it, whether because they're too young, they didn't own a house, they weren't there, or it didn't impact them. But the reality of it is harder to sell now. So a lot of agents are like, oh, this is tough, and they get out because they haven't weathered the storms before. But what this winds up doing is it kind of does shake loose the agents that don't have the intestinal fortitude, we'll say, to stick it out, right? Because you can still make money, you can still do business in a down market, and arguably there's more money to be made in a down market than in an up market.
I had a great 2025 personally. My personal production and my organization busted $1 billion for the
Yeah, I saw that. By the way, kudos.
Thank you.
You're like among the top probably 2%, if maybe even top 1% of people whose organization hit $1 billion worth of real estate.
But you know what? Here's the deal. And so I don't say this very often. In 2023, we did $1.5 billion. So I'm such a stats psychopath, as is Elena, that, and I'm just like, if we don't get over $1 billion in 2025, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so we closed at like $1,100,025 or something like that. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Listen, but that's amazing. But you can't discount the fact that 2023, the market was a lot better. There was a lot more inventory. It was a lot easier to sell real estate. Now, what we've got to do is we've got to pivot, right? We've got to shift. And that's really what we have to adapt to, because as humans we adapt, right? So we have to adapt to that. Not everybody's willing to adapt or has the ability, the knowledge, and know-how, the tech, whatever ability to do that. So a lot of people fall out of the industry, and I think that both Lisa and myself are here to tell you that doesn't need to happen, because Lisa and I have now kind of partnered up with another friend of ours, another mutual friend. And unfortunately, Lisa and I aren't going to be working directly together because, anyway, circumstances are what they are. But I still love Lisa, so I still want to do things with Lisa here moving forward. What we're doing now is we're we're educating and helping agents that are having a hard time, because I think that there's the number one job of agents in particular, aside from obviously showing and selling real estate and listing real estate, that's a big one. But there's a job that you have to do before that, right? It's getting clients. It's new client acquisition.
Mhm.
And I don't like to use, lead generation, because I don't want to be known as a lead, right? I want to be a client. I want to be, someone that steps in. So what we've tapped into is a program that we can help any agent get more than enough leads, because even in a market that is tight, what you need is leads, whether it be clients, whether it be a selling client or a listing client, you need those clients, right? So we've tapped into a system that's done for you. You don't have to take, another funnel course. You don't have to take a marketing course. You don't have to take a Facebook.
Thank God, right?
You don't have to be this or that. You don't even have to do follow-up, because Jay has leveraged technology in such a way, which is brilliant. And I love how he said it the other day to us, that he said, this wouldn't be possible without AI. He's been doing this for 6 years, but about a year and a half ago, between the level that AI has stepped up to and the co-sponsorship that's become available within our organization, it's allowed him to absolutely explode what he's doing and giving us the opportunity to tap into those systems as well. So if you're an agent that is struggling, that you need more client, need more clients, client referrals, you need more clients, put a message down below. Shoot Lisa a message, shoot me a message on Instagram, wherever you're watching this, because we're on YouTube, Facebook.
Well, Tony, if somebody sees this and they like both of us, we can co-sponsor, you and I.
That's right. Yeah, we could do that. Absolutely. So, matter of fact, here, I don't have your link, but I'm going to put this link in here.
Well, just put yours in, and then if someone's like, "Oh my God, I want to work with both of you," then we'll just do that.
Yeah, we'll make it work. So the idea is to help agents. And by the way, this isn't specifically for real estate agents. This is all around real estate, right? But this could work for title companies and mortgage companies, and it's really geared towards realtors. But anyone who's doing business in the real estate industry, this could lead itself to that, because ultimately, and we can have a broader conversation about business in general, because even in the car business, what do you need? You need clients, right?
Right.
You need clients.
Amen.
And one of the things that
50,000, just so you guys can get your head around this. When I was a car dealer, and I was a small car, I was number one in the world when it came to our brand. But when you compared me to the Ford dealership down the street, I was small potatoes. Okay. But I would spend 50 to 60 grand a month on Auto Trader, KBB, leads, all of that, to bring leads into my, what we call BDC, our business development center, which was our internet department. So, I mean,
you got to sell a lot. Hold on, you got to sell a lot of cars to cover that $50,000 a month expense.
Oh, and that was only one of my expenses, my friend. I had a $70,000 rent factor. I can go on and on about the expenses.
Yeah, that's a lot of cars.
So a lot of cars.
Yeah. So the point is, it's one of the most important things that any business can do is that client generation. It's reaching out, and it is very much so staying front of mind. Whether you're a car dealer, you're a plumber, you're a carpenter, you're an electrician, you're a real estate broker, mortgage broker, attorney, whatever it is. If you're forward facing to your client, the most important thing is to be front of mind, is to be the expert in that field. So I always encourage people, get on social media. If you're nervous in front of a camera, get over it. Just
do this. Yeah. Like this is live right now. I am literally, my husband's out watching TV. So I was like, God, I just have to go grab in one of my bedrooms because my study's off limits right now. So anyways, I'm just like, okay, I'll just get on. You just get on and you start talking, guys. It's just a conversation. I have so many people that are so adverse to getting onto camera. And I'm like, that's made my whole career.
Yeah, you get comfortable. By the way, and look who we have. Somebody snuck in here. It's Brad, my co-host. He's, it's interesting. He hasn't been here. You know why? Because we're all still in production, right? So he did 4 listings 2 days ago. He wrote 2-3 offers yesterday. He's coming from a listing appointment right now. And all of this, by the way, through that lead generation we've been talking about. So let's just add him onto the stage. What's up? Good looking?
Hey. In the car, hopefully not too much background noise. What's up, girl? How's Dallas?
Well, I'm in Austin.
I know. I was just tricking you.
Oh, you're tricking me.
That's the one thing
in the world right now.
Yeah, you took my best friend away from Dallas. I would have saw him last week, but you got him to move to Austin. So you are an attractor, that's for sure.
Yes. No, I try. I work my butt off, buddy. How about all your success? I mean, so Tony said you got what, 4 listings and
Yeah, I mean, the market is busting loose. So anybody that's coming out of the last month or two and you feel like your market's been slow,
it
and
has.
we've heard days on market was, up to 60 days, wondering if it was going to
Hold on,
approach
stop
90.
for a second.
Yeah.
Where do you live that you're only on a 60-day turn?
Welcome to Kansas City, one of the best kept secrets on the planet.
Dang.
So yeah, we're probably a 45, 60-day market. Of course, my average price point's like, 280, 300's even high. 250, 280 for general. But we actually have kind of 3 different areas of Kansas City, and each one goes up about 20 grand. So like my neck of the woods, average price is 220, 230. The next Northland is 240, 250. And then I just came from pretty close to the Kansas side where that's 280, 300, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're about, I've had these houses on the market for about 60 days. And then I listed and sold, or they were listed, had 4 contracts come in on those houses. One of them was multiple offers. The other 3 were just regular offers, but got really close to asking price, just kept making adjustments to the price to adjust in the market.
Yeah.
I started a little higher because the market is crazy, and 1 out of 7, 8, 9 houses sells for some crazy price. 1 or 2 sells for lower than you thought, and the other ones sell right where they're supposed to sell. So we did our normal adjustments, and I got 4 contracts in the last week, got those 4 listings under contract. In the meantime, I had 2 buyers that I wrote contracts for yesterday. And then this is a listing that'll go live on Sunday. So it's just being busy, man. If you're not sitting at kitchen tables and you're not showing houses, you're doing something wrong. Like, you got to be out.
That which is what I tell my team. I'm like, action creates action. Activity breeds activity. Like, if you're not in constant forward motion, constant forward motion is what will bring success. There's no such thing as a bad market. There's bad marketing. There's bad activities. There's whatever. Like, I don't take excuses.
Yeah, the reality of it is, again, there's money to be made in any market, and you just have to adapt to it. People just get too used to, putting a sign up and getting 73 calls and selling it for, having multiple offers, 10, and they sell it for $60,000 over. Like, oh my God, I'm the greatest realtor in the history of real estate. No, you're not. That was timing. That just happened
now is when you find out who the greatest realtors are in history, right? In times like this. Because I will tell you, Brad, we're sitting in about a 120-day market. And it's unless you've got an exceptional property at an exceptional price, right? And so, so it's just interesting. You're Kansas City, Tony's New Jersey, I'm in Texas, right? In Texas, we just have a lot of inventory right now.
I wish we had more inventory in Jersey.
You and I talked about that yesterday when we
have no inventory. We have
in my
town right now. There's maybe 5 listings in my town, in the whole town, and we're probably, man, I don't even know. There's towns that would normally have 300 listings that they have 30, and this happens. I mean, because of our proximity to New York, we're kind of, and I hate to say it, I don't like this term.
People out of New York to come to you.
Kind of like the suburb of New York anyway, but there's so many people, escaping from New York. I got to say at this point, just because of what's happening with politically, and the taxes are going up, and like 40%, which is crazy, right? So there's a mass exodus, which is not helping our market, right? It's hard right now. It's difficult. It's a difficult market to be in New Jersey because we are suffering from the lack of inventory. And I would say that if something's priced properly, it's not on the market for 30 days. It's probably 50 days.
I would just love to have that for 1 month. Like, I would love to manifest that for 1 month, that I go into a 30-day market.
Right.
Oh my God. That would be amazing.
We lost the Brad. Let me just get
Brad's back.
Yeah, let me get this one off.
I had to pop out or something. I was getting a delay, and I could only hear you, Tony. So I think I'm back in.
Yeah, you're back.
And I caught most of what you guys were saying. And yeah, here's something really interesting about this market. What you were just talking about, low inventory. Dude, I've been selling for 34 years. I've sold 3,000 homes in my career. And I can tell you right now today, I cannot tell you what your house is going to sell for till we hit the market. So like this house that I just went to, I'm looking at solds that, again, I'm going to talk weird numbers here, but that's just Missouri. Like 380, they're not breaking 400, but there's no way this house should be listed for less than 450. And we were it probably should be 475, but there's no sales. And there's two properties on the market at 479 and one at 500, and they've been on the market for 190 days.
Whoa.
So you got to look at the market. And actually, I don't know if you saw I did a webinar for EXP on their Level Up, and it's the 10-minute accurate CMA. And you're really looking at supply and demand. And so like I told them today, it's like there is a gap between 380 and 480. And there's nothing in between, which means that 480, you could list below that at 475 or 450, and you're going to look like the best deal on the market. But just know that I don't have any sales at 450. They're all at 400 and 380. But there's no way we could price at 380 when the cheapest thing on the market is 480. So you got to be a smart realtor. You got to understand the game and not get caught up in like the appraisal price methods. And I'll share this one tidbit, and you guys jump in and add to this. I always share that here's the thing about an appraisal. An appraisal is not the value of the property on what it's worth today. An appraisal is a guy or a gal who had the answer to the equation that needs to create the equation with three properties that average the answer. So what happens is you pull your price out of the market, and you might sell a house. I know everybody listening, if you haven't done it, you're going to sell a house for more than it should sell for. And as long as the appraiser can find three that average that price, you won't have a short appraisal. But now if you set this price way out where it's never happened before, $100,000 more than anything sold in your market, you're going to get a short appraisal.
Yep.
So that's kind of the way I usually say it is they had the answer to the equation. What we got to look at is supply and demand.
Yeah. And it's all about supply and demand. Whereas, Tony's got no supply and high demand. I've got high supply and low demand. And you almost sound like you're a little like even like kind of like a balanced market almost.
Yeah. And what's happening in New Jersey, and of course the inventory drives up the price. I saw a listing the other day that there's no way in heck it's going to sell. There's no way. It's literally priced up 300,000-400,000 more than what it should. And I'm like, why do people even list properties like this?
Why even do it? It's a waste of time and money.
It's a waste of time,
And mental space for both the seller and the agent.
Yeah, and this is and then they say, well, realtors are not good people. Well, because you got fools like that out there, and those are the people that really should fall out of the market, right? Because they're not doing their client a service. They're thinking, oh my God, I can make this much more commission if I sell the house for that price. But you're not going to be able to. So you're actually hurting your seller and yourself, and you're preventing a buyer that would probably love that house to move in. So, again, this conversation just went really hard real estate, which is we were trying to keep it kind of generic to life and to all kinds of business. But the reality of it is this.
Come back, y'all. I can always come back.
Yeah, but the reality of it is everything in life is about supply and demand. Everything. Yeah. And that's what's going to affect the pricing of everything. If you're talking about, they say, what does this have to do with the price of rice in China? Well, the price of rice in China is the price of rice, right?
Supply and demand back when we were all single and dating. Like you walk into a bar, supply and demand. Like if you're the only guy walking in, there's 14 women sitting there, then you're gonna have a better chance than if you walk into a bar and it's all dudes. And
right. Absolutely. And what I was actually, it's funny you said that because I was actually thinking something similar, because that literally is the earliest version of supply and demand that people get to understand, right?
Yeah, million.
But yeah, no, it's a great example.
So just to pull this back, because I missed the first part of the call, and it was because of real estate, so I probably derailed us a little bit on that. But having this call today, it's like understanding real estate and working every day. Like if you're not on a listing appointment or showing houses every day, then your lifestyle that I'd like to pull us back to is going to be affected. So I will tell you that the two offers that I wrote yesterday for buyers, those are things that my buyer called me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and said, is there any way we can go see these houses at 4 o'clock today? And there was a list of 6 homes. Because of systems and because of staying plugged into real estate and attending sessions like this and actually applying the stuff that we're sharing, I was able to pull that off and show those houses and do everything that I always do and write a contract because I have systems running so that I can have a great life, right?
Amen.
So this weekend's going to be fun. I got a poker tournament I'm playing on Saturday night. I'm doing some, we're remodeling our dining room. So I'm doing a little bit of work there, but I still am moving real estate. So I'd like to pull that back because that's, you just look like you live an amazing life. And Austin is one of my most favorite places to go have fun. 6th Street, live music. I always said if I were leaving Kansas City, I'd probably hit north side of San Antonio so I could do Austin and San Antonio.
There you go.
I love Austin.
Great barbecue in Austin, man. I love it. Love it. So I do want to mention, because one of the things that's important too, it's not just getting those clients. It's also then putting them into your database and working those leads, right? Yep. And it's all about relationships. Ultimately, the quality of our life, the quality of our business depends on the quality of the relationships and how we're nurturing and maintaining those. And that applies, by the way, that's the one thing that applies to all business everywhere. It's about that client retention, but it's also about managing those clients. Make sure you're managing their expectations and that you're staying in touch with them. And matter of fact, I'd love to invite you to this as well, Lisa. And I'm just there as an invitee and as a student as well. But starting every Monday, Brad and I are going to go. We're not going live because it is going to be a closed Zoom session. But he's going to. Brad's got a product called the Relationship Revolution, and how to really take the existing people, the existing clients that you've got in your downline from past clients to new clients that you're getting, putting them into his system, and then how to stay in contact with them and how to have that personal touch and everything else. And it's called the Relationship Revolution, and it's going to be on Monday at 10 a.m. your time, 11 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to do that for an hour. And it's going to be 19 weeks because it is 19 hours. And that's going to be Brad sharing and teaching and going through it. So we'd love to invite you to jump in on that.
Very good. Yes, send me a link to that. And Tony, you and I talked about the fact we have another call we've got to be on in a few minutes.
Exactly. So, I just want to wrap this up and just say I'd love to get a tip because, again, it isn't all about culture. It is all about training and staying in contact and front of mind and everything else. What's one tip that you can leave with our audience today? And again, I'd love to do this again because I'd love to come back. You and I and Brad, we both kind of where our personalities really gel well together, even though we have different perspectives on a lot of different things, different parts of the country. But give us a closing thought.
I see, I think the closing thought is it's like, if you quit on yourself. And, I would tell people out there, I think this is probably geared toward real estate agents, is that you can't quit. Okay. Like times get hard, times get tough. And I'll tell you, the harder it gets, the harder I push. I'm doing all the webinars, I'm doing everything. We're meeting with our team almost on a daily basis. We're creating new partnerships like what we did with Tony and the Honey Badgers and all of that. Like we don't stop. The harder it gets, the harder we work. And that would be my tip for success to everybody. I've seen so many people just retreat. They're like, ooh, it's hard now. I'm just going to retreat. I'm going to quit. I'm going to do something different, or I'm just going to blame the market. Well, the market sucks, so I'm not successful. And I'm like, wow, the more the market sucks for me, the harder I go. Yeah.
Well, listen, the reality is you made me this quote come up in my head, which, by the way, and you probably know this, but I've quotes surface to me all the time. Yep. And the quote is that you can't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do.
Ooh, you can't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Boom.
That's right.
I feel like we could end on that.
Yeah, that's good. And I think we lost Brad, so I think we may have to.
Well, hopefully Brad didn't drive in a ditch or something weird. So hopefully
right. Hopefully he did. But listen, we invite you. There is a weekly call that we have to invite anyone that's interested in learning more about what some of the things we've been talking about kind of on the fringe. And you can go to freeagentsystem.com/live and sign up for this Zoom call on Thursdays, where it'll blow your mind. And in the meantime, I'm grateful. Thank you again, Lisa, for being here. I appreciate you. We've been talking about getting together for like 2 months, and we finally did it. So
I know, we finally did it. I mean, like you and I were going to do X. We were going to do this.
You're still going to.
I have to tell you, I am a little bit boycotting New York right now because of this Mondavi thing. And so
I don't disagree with you.
Because I'm usually, I try to get to New York a couple of times a year just to be in New York and go shopping and just be in New York. I love New York, but I just don't have a lot of faith in the leadership that it's a safe place to go right now. So
yeah, it's a different world that we're treading on now. But listen, we're resilient, we adapt.
I know. You are New York.
The strong survive, my friend. Well, listen, thank you again for being here. Yeah. I really appreciate you. Go ahead and get on your call. And I'd love to do this again. We can touch on some other subjects and topics as well. And you and I have a lot that we in common, a lot of conversations we could have. Some we may not have on here, but we'll see how that goes. Lisa, thank you again. I appreciate you, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all.
And we'll talk soon.
Okay,
all right. Thanks. And again, thank you for everyone that has been here, that has joined us today. We are going to be recording a live podcast every Friday. And there will be an edited version of this that's put on all the streaming platforms, and rather, I should say, on all the everywhere you can find podcasts. But I want to say, not but, and I want to say just thank you for joining us. Thank you for your contributions, for sharing these videos. And if you're interested, go to freeagentsystem.com/live, and we'll see you on the next call. Thanks again. Ciao for now.